Welcome to SHOWstudio's live panel discussions. In these discussions, experts from all parts of the industry discuss and debate the top shows of the season. To mark the end of London Fashion Week, very excited to be discussing Riccardo Tisci's Burberry Autumn Winter 20. Before we dive in, I'm going to let our panellists introduce themselves. I'm going to start with you, Karinna, down the end there.
Sure. My name's Karinna Nobbs. I am a futurist and an academic.
My name's Jess. I'm a student and a sportswear designer.
My name's Georgina, and I'm an artist and a curator.
My name's Shaquille and I'm a fine artist.
And I'm SHOWstudio fashion editor Georgina Evans. Thank you guys so much for coming. Let's dive in. I'd like to get a little bit of a feel before we start. How do you guys feel about Burberry? How do you feel about Riccardo? What do you have a favourite kind of Burberry? I'm going to jump on you, Georgina.
Do I have feelings about Riccardo? No. Not really, actually. How do I feel about Burberry? Do you know what? You know when there's certain things that just stick in your mind? I feel like one of the most, and it's random, vivid memories I have about Burberry is kind of not about Burberry, but it's about the film Kidulthood and that scene when they go
the Burberry
to the Burberry store.
Yeah.
And I guess that's not really about Burberry, but about Burberry's history. And obviously fashion is about covert coding and deciding who should wear these things and who shouldn't wear those things, which I still think is an attitude you can still see in this present collection. I think I said when we were meeting, speaking earlier, that I showed my dad a few pictures of this yesterday, somebody that doesn't engage in fashion whatsoever. And he was like, oh my gosh, I know the print, but like, this is an assault on the eyes. And he was talking more so at the fact that like, it was like rat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Everything had the print one after another, like merging into it. So if you have a strain of dyslexia, this is gonna be a freaking mindfuck for you. Yeah.
Do you agree, Shaquille?
Wow, you said so many points. I was kind of like, yo. But you know what, with Burberry for me, I just feel like it's just so nostalgic. I feel like the first thing I remember about Burberry is like my mum, the first ever designer thing I got, my mum bought me this Burberry vest and it was just amazing. And just Burberry throughout the years has just been like one of the most iconic brands in history. And I feel like it's very interesting how like Riccardo has literally just, you know, kind of like changed like, you know, the logo and stuff like that. And I know there was a lot of mixed feelings about that, but I'm kind of interested to see like, you know, the new direction for Burberry over the next couple of years. So, you know, even just looking through these photos just now, like right now, like it looks amazing. So I got no bad feelings about Riccardo.
That's good. What about you guys down the end?
I think Burberry for me has always been one of the luxury brands that has sort of resonated. I think like, I'm like from the north of England and like I visited the factories when I was with school and like that always made it feel quite like it was one luxury brand that would be attainable for like the majority of Britain, whereas like a lot of these other luxury brands I don't think necessarily feel like that, but it's probably not the same for everyone, but for me it's a brand I've always been able to relate to. And I think I really like Riccardo's work at Givenchy as well, but obviously it's completely separate to that. I don't have the same sort of resonance with it. But I think this collection is starting to feel quite similar to the old Burberry that I know and love, like growing up, that I might not have worn, but I thought, oh, maybe one day I could wear that. And he seems to be doing that again with this. It's not really exploring what, for me, like Britishness is maybe right now. Like, I think it'd be nice to see him really sort of in an authentic way explore what it means to be British in 2020, and that's not necessarily heritage or tradition, but I think the fact that he's exploring that for people that might feel the same way about Burberry as I do, I think it's a nice sort of introduction to that, I think.
And Karinna, how do you feel about Burberry before and after?
I mean, from my background, I get very excited about like the innovation from a marketing and kind of retail perspective, which I think we've kind of seen less on whilst Riccardo's been at the helm. And so, yeah, I would like to see more, although they've done things like gamification with like Burberry B Bounce and Ratberry, and I get my students to kind of like user test that inside classes. I would like to see more in terms of, I don't know, innovation through some of the materials maybe that they use as well. Although I know some brands are getting kind of critiques for that. They're saying it's like surface level sustainability. But for me, I don't know, I thought the collection was clever from a financial perspective, because I feel like there was something for everyone. I think it is a commercial collection.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe they can still, through the B series kind of like drops, that maybe they can, I don't know, try and serve multiple different customers at the same time. I don't know, these are just the...
That's interesting. Going back to what you said, Jess, in connection to Karinna, what is it about this collection that you think is harking back to Bailey?
I think so much of it, really. I think the colours, I think it feels very feminine in a very sort of London way, which I feel like you can see from like the skirts and the way that they're wearing the jackets, or the jackets are designed to look like they might be falling off the shoulder. For me, it's not streetwear in an explicit way of logos and branding. It's streetwear about how women dress in the streets.
It's relaxed.
It's a relaxed, intelligent way to approach streetwear, which I think Bailey did for a long time. Which I think obviously that's the Burberry we're all quite familiar with sort of still. And that for me, it's moving more sort of back towards that.
It's interesting that you mentioned kind of the lack of streetwear, because I think that's something that everyone's been feeling a little bit kind of pulling away from that. So it's quite impressive that he managed to make this still quite commercial without doing logos. And if we think about his first collection, which was logo crazy and lots of different prints, it's quite, I mean, this is definitely lots of different checks.
Every check ever.
Every check you've ever seen in your life. But it's quite clever to have that commerciality without necessarily doing the logo and the sportswear. I think that's quite nice. What do you guys think?
I like the fact that it's kind of pulled back away from the streetwear thing, because to be honest, I feel like streetwear is kind of oversaturated. I mean, it's still very popular, obviously, and it's one of the, I guess it's one of the few fashion trends that is like very accessible and is like, you know, I guess embraced by a lot of people. But I feel like with Burberry customers as well, this is the kind of thing that they want to see. They want to see kind of stuff like this again. I feel like the whole like logo thing everywhere and like being so brand heavy was kind of like pulling away from what people who invest themselves into Burberry was actually kind of looking for. And I thought something like this is just like, I think this is exactly what everybody kind of needs. It's like, it is commercial, it's not exactly streetwear, and I feel like there's something there for everybody, as was mentioned before. I think it's sick, man. I saw like this green two-piece suit, and I was like, yeah, that's, you know.
Yeah, the bold-coloured suits are fab. You know, really, really, really fab.
So I kind of like the direction that this collection is in.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, this is amazing. So I just hope it just keeps going this direction, man.
Again, like if you can see the reflection there, that needs to be a print, like right now, like, all over that suit. Really beautiful. I think what would be also interesting is to see designers reacting to space and reacting to like how these garments are worn in real life. I think what Shaq was mentioning as well, in terms of like having a mixture of streetwear, a bit of a relaxed shoulder and those type of things is nice, because that is how you're going to wear something. You're going to wear a puffer and a tracksuit and a suit jacket. You know what I mean? That's London. So that is definitely speaking to a lot of people, but also speaking to their customer base.
I think that's interesting, because the idea of London is something that Riccardo's kind of had to grapple with quite a little bit. I mean, he came here when he was 17, he spent his formative years in London, but I think a lot of people weren't necessarily so keen on his earlier Burberry, because it was kind of a bit of an outsider looking in on London. Does this feel more authentically British to you guys?
I thought the other ones also felt authentically British in a different way, but I don't know. This feels more, I think it's reflective of where we are now for the reasons that you just mentioned. And it feels, I don't know, I also think it's going to make more money, because the margins on the types of stuff that they're creating is going to be a lot higher than more basic streetwear items. To be a little bit critical, I thought there was some parts of it that were maybe stuff we'd seen before. So like the stuff coming like off the shoulders and some of the hybrid jackets. But I loved like the sculptural things and the things that were much fresher, but because there was so many, we were talking about this before, like so many different exits, it was kind of hard to, it was like constant.
Yeah, it's like your dad was saying.
I think like definitely you're seeing a lot like British culture, if you can say that, coming through like polo tops and that type of stuff. But I don't know if nowadays you can slap the label of is this British, because you know there's so many different like subcultures.
What is British?
Yeah, what is that? I think that's the question of, you know, going forward. What is British? Like what do we kind of stand for? What do we like?
I think there's an eccentricity in it that is quite British and kind of goes forward. It's quite playful. Well, it's not playful, but eccentric.
He does a really good job of capturing that kind of attitude of Britishness. It's why can't I wear a welly boot with a cocktail dress? Why can't I layer up, I don't know, a outerwear with something covered in diamantes? That kind of middle look there is perfect example of that. We've got a trench coat, a white shirt, and then bam, diamante trousers.
Oh, they're trousers. I thought they were like super thigh highs.
It's trouser merging into shoe, I believe.
Oh, those would have been sick as a thigh high.
Which is quite great. That to me is a good British attitude I like.
Yeah, this is very like editor. Look.
I want to go back to those gorgeous sculpture pieces that you were talking about, because to me they felt a little bit Riccardo does Givenchy, and I think maybe that's why we're starting to, particularly those dark dresses as well, you can start to see a little bit more of his kind of couture craft coming back into this collection, which I'm thrilled about because I love Riccardo at Givenchy.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of interesting to see him bringing back a little bit of his signatures in something as archetypal as Burberry.
I think even the dance that you're doing, like low-key, is kind of how the collection is like flowing. Because there's a lot of movement actually, like a lot of pleating, a lot of wraps, a lot of drapery, and that's very beautiful. It's nice to see this mixed in with like soft tailoring and then hard tailoring and like really big jackets. Like that's really beautiful to see. It's just texture and light, so it's nice.
It reflects sort of like the musicality as well, like it was like classical music and then like Arca was playing as well, and it was
the music was intense.
It was beautiful, and I think it really, I mean, you were talking about the reflection in the physical show space, but I think the music was really reflected in the pieces, and like obviously there's the movement of all the different trenches and stuff, and I think like we're talking about the dance that you were doing, I think the whole thing, you can really sort of set that tone.
Kind of goes back to what you were saying about this being a Bailey collection, because live kind of classical music is a kind of Bailey signature. I used to love doing that at Burberry, but this was this was a typical kind of Riccardo mix, because you had super traditional classical music by, I think it's Katia and Mariella Lebec. I'm sorry if I've butchered that. And then mixed with Arca, which is a typical kind of mix that Riccardo loves to do. I am interested in that kind of idea of mix, though. Something that I noticed at the show was these kind of trainery shoes that were kind of half trainer, half brogue. And I sometimes think with Riccardo, everything has to have a multi-purpose. So often kind of jackets need to be shirts, need to be skirts, need to be folded into. And from my personal standpoint, I'm like, oh, maybe we could take something away. What do you guys think? Do you like the more is more?
I love that approach, not in a more is more way. I love the idea of a hybrid product. I think like nowadays, like obviously Burberry is such a big brand that needs to talk about sustainability. I think if their products were less but did more, so if the jackets could also function as a shirt or could be a bag or whatever, I personally really love that approach, because I think it's more, we need to be adaptable. And Burberry, these huge brands, if they can do that on such a large scale, that'll sort of send a message to everybody else that we need to be adaptable. We need to think about the products that we buy, and do they do more than maybe their intended purpose? And if they do, then that's great. I'd have loved to have seen that approach in less looks.
Yeah.
If we could have had all these pieces that was a jacket and a dress, but if it could have been 50 looks instead of 100, then I think they've nailed that approach.
They need you on their team.
Yeah, I love that. Hire me now.
How many looks did you say there were?
I think it was 110.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which is a lot.
That's too much.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. I think your dad said it right. It's a real assault. But I suppose when you're showing menswear and women's wear together, you don't really have a choice, and you've got to run through kind of luxury, outerwear, gowns. He's catering to every occasion in one show. Do we think this show format lends itself well to the brand, or would you prefer a switch up?
Format as in like a catwalk?
Format as in men's and women's together, this many looks, huge kind of grand, taking over Olympia performance.
Maybe he's like seeing the future and is like, Men's Week's gonna die or something. I don't know why they're putting them together. But I think it is also a good way of, like, why not merge? Why not Fashionista did it as well? Like, I don't see the problem in it. But I totally agree with you in terms of there just being way too many looks. I think there is a way to show both collections together, but not make it so excessive. Because that's also like the biggest conversation we're having at the moment. So I think if you're going to chime in on that, and you said Burberry have to speak more about sustainability, that's key to that conversation. So yeah, I would have just like not done so many.
I think there needs to be a change, or I don't think that fashion shows or fashion weeks should be cancelled necessarily. I just would like to see more innovation. And when you look at like the coverage of the Burberry show in particular, it was a lot more about who walked it and who were the celebrities, and that for the last 2 seasons he hadn't picked who was in the front row, and this season he went back to picking who was in the front row. And I just think, I'm not sure that, I don't know, maybe it's because we work in the sector, but I'm not sure if that affects the end consumer as much as it used to.
No, it doesn't, because anyone can be a celebrity now, so it doesn't matter. I think that's just very archaic. Like, nobody's looking at well, in my opinion, I don't think many people are looking at, are you looking at the front row?
I feel like, well, you're talking about fashion shows in general, everyone's looking at the front row, bro. Yeah, but especially in the day and age of social media, like, everyone's posting about that. Like, that's why a lot of people do it, because it's like, you get people to influence the culture behind your brand. So if you get like the right celebrities, or you pay the right celebrities to like sit, or influencers to sit in the front and they're posting about it, which people naturally do because whether they care about it or not, they just want to show that they're there. Instantly to whoever's watching that person, it's instantly a thing where it's kind of like, oh, so-and-so messed with this brand. Okay, cool, let me actually look into this. Burberry, I never thought about it before, but you know what, now I have a high interest, and I feel like that's why right now in this day and age, there is such a big culture like about sitting front row at a show. Like, more time when people sit front row at a show, they don't even care about the show. Like, a lot of people who go Fashion Week don't even care about the clothes, don't know about anything about the designer, don't know anything about the heritage of the brand. They just want to be seen there at the parties, front row. Yeah, man, it kind of does take away from the designer's hard work, but at the same time, if the designer has willingly chose to put people there for it to do exactly what I just said, then that's on them as well. But
I think it would be sort of interesting to reverse it, and someone in history, I don't know, someone in the team might be able to have done this before, where I'm sure people have, where the people who are here on the front row are dressed in the current season collection, and I don't know, there's nothing on the catwalk or something. I mean, it must have been done before, but because there is that balance of power or influence that, I don't know, is up for discussion, I think. And it's different with loads of different brands.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do you think you strike a balance between that? Like, meeting your bottom line and being popular?
I think, are you talking about between like the designer and who sits up front rows and stuff? Or?
Who sits on the front row versus how much sales you're making?
I think you build a relationship with the people who are sitting front row. So, someone like Adoa, who I know is just like so tired with Burberry, I'd expect to see her front row because I know that relationship is there. But then if you get someone random, like let's just say like some famous K-pop star who has no interest in a brand, and you put him front row, it's kind of like, we know why you're there. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of thing just happens like, all the time. So I feel like if you wanna find a balance, create relationship with the people you wanna put at your shows. Do you know what I mean? It's not by force to put someone there because they have enough clout or they're famous enough. Like it's just like the people, as a brand, the people you willingly choose to invest into, have confidence in those people that you've selected. Yeah, man, and put them front row. Let them, like, do you know what? I invested into this person. I'm going to sit them right here because they deserve to see, what we've done for this season because they've helped us come this far. Don't like trade that seat for somebody else who doesn't care. Do you know what I mean? So
you're right, because Jean-Paul Gaultier did that really well. Like, it was all his mates walking, right? And I think that's a really great kind of like yardstick for other people to follow, because I think now people can see through the clout chasing and they're just like, yeah, I'm not really bothered about that person. But if I see that this person has a good relationship, yeah, I think you're completely right, actually, yeah.
I do think it's a new Burberry. So he's trying to, by casting the Hadids and Irina Shayk and all this kind of stuff and putting all these people in front row, it's automatically putting Burberry in this kind of upper echelon, up with like Dior and Chanel. Whereas before with Bailey, it was Cara Delevingne and Adwoa in the front row, and that felt much more as if it was the Burberry family. All the people who were in the campaigns were in the front row, and that made sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Whereas this is, Kendall Jenner. It's American, it's big, it's blockbuster. And again, with the Burberry logo change, it feels like Riccardo's trying to push Burberry up into this echelon of kind of a new
But people
guard.
are smart now. People are like, well, in general, people are smart. But yeah, it's just, you know, you don't want to do anything. Don't want to do anything and make it really contrived, because everyone can see that.
Does this feel contrived to you?
I mean, I think just going back to Shaka's point about putting people that actually care instead of just feeding into this narrative of, they have 150,000 million followers, let me put them there. Because this is how he is going to have a good relationship with London as well, by putting people that Londoners relate to or British people relate to. Like, it would have been sick to see Vinnie Jones there. Like, why not?
Vinnie Jones. It would be good, I think it would be good to have kind of true British actors, musicians. I don't know, we'll see.
I mean, I kind of get it, though, at the same time, because I feel like when Riccardo first came, and also with the logo change and, like, how streetwear, I feel like Burberry turned into, I feel like a lot of people were starting to, no disrespect to the brand itself, but I felt like some people were starting to kind of, like decredit Burberry. So I feel like this is like a full 360 spin. It's kind of like, yo, we're still the same brand, if not bigger. Look at what we're doing right now. Do you know what I mean? I feel like this was probably like the most talked about show this fashion week. Do you know what I mean? So I get the whole 360 spin and like having certain people like that walk through it. You kind of like reclaim like, you know, the status and, you know, how regal it once was, and you're kind of pulling it back from the streetwear thing, and it's like, yo, we're beyond just this little bubble of being streetwear, brand logo, brand heavy, all of this. Like, we can actually do this as well. So I kind of get it, but again, it is about finding that balance as well, you know?
Speaking of balance, going back to the clothes a little bit, talking about reclaiming, how do we feel about the reclaiming of the check?
I'm here for it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I missed the check. I missed the check. Come through. I want the check. Because like the logo, the monogram, I personally, it wasn't for me personally, but I can deal with change in it. But Burberry strikes me as a brand that's all about heritage. One thing I realized about heritage, if you think about even like royal families, like, you know, families that have like the family crest that's been going on for ages. I always saw the check as like Burberry's family crest. So when that kind of like changed a little bit, I was kind of like, I don't know if I identify with where this is going, because everything that I knew up until that point was check. So I feel a lot more,
at home.
Yeah, and I don't feel as disorientated with the check coming back.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's every check, so you sure you're not disorientated?
Every check.
He's like, it's been gotten, so let me bring it back 50,000 times.
I'm pleased to see it back, because the B logo is really easy to, well, within reason, it's easy to produce. You can print it really quickly, whereas the check has to be made on a 45-degree angle. The craft that comes with the check is so high. So immediately just looking at all that check, as much as it is a lot, you can already see that Riccardo's trying to move back into a little bit of heritage, a little bit of craft, taking it back to kind of the Yorkshire vibes, which
It's important, I think, like to keep the culture of craft. It's really important now, because people want to know how things are made, especially. So it's definitely nice that it's made a reappearance, and that it kind of like slowly trickles into something else, like the block colour suits, and those skirts are just fab.
Yeah, those skirts are brilliant.
These are the shoes you didn't like, these like brown, whitey.
Yeah.
One's on the right.
The far right. Yeah, they're like half trainer, half like.
Oh, yeah.
See what I mean? They're a bit clunky, I think.
Don't mind the white one so much.
White ones are slicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of reintroducing the notion of kind of like connoisseurship by kind of advancing the check in this way. Like, you'd have to know it was this season's Burberry maybe to recognise it, and I think that's quite an old school luxury code, which is kind of clever for, I don't know, certain parts of the audience.
Yeah. Do you think check is good commercially? People are still hungry for the check.
I think so. I mean, a lot of people have referenced like 90s Marc Jacobs and stuff like that for the
super 90s.
Yeah.
I feel like people are. I mean, I feel like especially a lot of young people, every time they're wearing something to do with Burberry, it's always something that's something bait. It's either the cap, it's the jacket, mainly the jacket, like the old trench coats, or just something that's just got like a check all over. Because, you know, in this day and age, if you're looking at consumerism as well, it's kind of like the average person doesn't have dumb money to be spending on like all these luxury brands. So, you know, when you do buy a piece, you want to buy something iconic and timeless, like you said.
Seasonal.
Or it can even be second-hand. Like, it could be a trench coat that's from like a vintage shop or something like that.
You know what I mean? So I feel like the check was something that kind of like said that for a lot of people. It's kind of like you just buy that one piece and it's kind of like, cool, I got a Burberry piece. If I ever want to show people that I have something from Burberry, I can wear this with a check. And you instantly go, oh, that's Burberry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like...
What did you think of the glasses? Because they were, they're
there a
kind of
close-up?
like retro futuristic, and they've got like an extra bit that comes on the nose. They're kind of quite interesting.
I can't really see them, to be honest.
Oh, they're huge.
They're huge, and it's almost like nose jewelry on some of them, the ones that are more kind of clearer.
I don't mind that, but to me that's very Givenchy, Riccardo Givenchy, which I felt like a little bit of this collection was sashaying into.
You're doing the move
I'm
again.
doing the move again. I'm really sorry, everyone.
Are these ones?
But then he has to do that a little bit, because then he'll be criticised of not having any of himself in the collection, no?
Yeah.
He said this was his most personal collection as well, about him being in India and in London in the 90s. So, I mean, we've talked a lot about it feeling like more like the Burberry that we all know, but he has said, I think, himself that it is the most personal.
Yeah, this collection was called
which you can
Memories.
see,
Yeah, Memories from London. Yeah, definitely personal. I think I quite like his personal input on this. I mean, I love the 90s references here. These are so fun. And the last couple of looks with his super glitter fringing wonder.
Oh, I love the brown dress with the fringing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I need that.
I was starting to panic towards the end, because I was like, where's the stuff that's going to be worn on the red carpet? Well, panic's maybe a bit strong. But I was kind of thinking because they kind of have to have that in order to have some kind of, I don't know, red carpet seasonal type thing.
Like that's
Ooh.
That's insane.
That's going to be worn on so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased to see this. You can see his kind of couture level of craft like creeping back into Burberry.
And also I feel like that kind of, this bit at the end like lifted the mood, because I don't know if you thought, when you were listening to the music, I was kind of like, I felt a bit like tense and like stressed in my stomach. I don't know if anyone else thought that.
That's just Arca, babe.
Yeah.
But it's a good
It was
type
less
stress.
of, I don't know, it was more the pianist kind of music that was more like that. And then, I don't know, it got more light-hearted towards the end to like kind of lift the mood.
Yeah. Yeah, I quite like the mood with the pianos, I think, and also Arco was good. But yeah, you're quite right, it was a little bit intense, also because they were powering out so quickly with this, like, and both the pianists were kind of like head thrashing a little bit. It was quite fun.
That is so funny. Nah, it's good. I feel like these bags are
Ooh, I was
definitely
about to
gonna
say,
get.
that bag, wow. That bag is beautiful.
Oh, that's a sparkly dress. This is the end walk, yeah?
Yeah, this finale. Actually, that's a very good point, this collection overall, lots less of accessories. In fact, I think that was probably one of the only, there's a few bags tucked under arms and a few things, but if we think back to his first collection when it was kind of rucksacks and thingies and umbrellas and it was accessory overload, this is much less
I love them, like, PE kit rugby shirts.
I was about to say, they look like rugby
fab.
shirts, yeah.
Oh, polo.
Yeah.
I said polo earlier. Defo rugby.
Yeah, they look like rugby
It's like
shirts.
cricket vests and all sorts in it. It feels that's like very traditionally British, but like quintessentially British rather than modern British. But
Yeah.
it's nice. I mean, I love sportswear, and I think that's a nice way to do it for a brand like this at the minute without it being logo mad. It's classic and traditional, and I think it's nice to bring it in them sort of silhouettes.
But these things are signifiers on their own.
Yeah.
Like you said, the check, signifier, like these shirts, signifiers, like you know exactly what he's talking about with them. I love these skirts. Like, pull that up, that's a summer dress.
Already styling it in your head.
It's so cute.
Yeah, I think that those kind of pieces were some of the winners.
Yeah, like there's like really nice like things dotted around, but also like you said, less accessories, but focusing on glasses are really important because they're what top sellers, right?
Yeah.
So
Entry level.
Yeah.
And like yesterday, they did another drop of the B series bag that's only available for 24 hours. You can only buy it through social media.
Oh.
The price point is like just on that one there. Yeah, it's like just under £1,000.
okay.
So it's kind of a
That is something that Burberry does arguably better than anyone else. If we think back to Bailey, he was the first one to do Sina Habano straight from the runway. And it's nice that Riccardo's got this kind of fun energy of little subtle launches, or less subtle. I mean, she's butt naked, but
Yeah.
It's
very beautiful
Okay, but why
there.
is she naked?
What was that?
The first comment was like,
I
okay,
like
but
the
why is she
comment.
naked?
That's hilarious. Why is
yeah.
she naked?
So it's quite clever. I think it's quite good. While there's not a lot of entry levels on the runway, it's good that it's still coming through in the social media where it actually counts.
These comments are a bit weird.
I think they have to be really careful as well because like 40% of their income comes from the Chinese marketplace, which is obviously having a real hard time right now. And they were meant to do a replication of this show in like 4 weeks' time that they've had to cancel.
Yeah.
And their share price has already dropped like 15% since the start of the year. So I think it's good that he's done such a well-spread collection to kind of balance the risk going forward.
Yeah, that's very smart. I think a lot of people are slightly stressed about that. Yeah, it's good to kind of attack on all cylinders with
That
such a well
jacket is beast. That
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he's literally taken the trench and reimagined it in
The trench went to the gym,
Yeah.
the gym.
literally.
Two necklines, it's got feathers, it's got fur. I think that's quite a clever way of doing the trench. If we think back to kind of traditional old school Burberry, they were only allowed to make the trench in, 4 colours? And here it is in arguably like 100 different renditions, which is quite amazing.
Anything off the shoulder is really flattering, to be honest. So I like that. He did a dress like that.
Not
the
good when it's
corsets
windy,
like that
though.
as well. I know, but you know, put a little scarf moment. Off we go. Can we talk about the suits though? The block colour suits. Where are they? Like a little bit further down. Can't miss them. Yeah, this
These
blue
suits are
suit.
fantastic.
It's so beautiful. Like, oh my gosh.
It looks like you're looking at like the reflection of like water or something. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah.
This is definitely Riccardo's kind of couture craft coming through. You can see those lines are fantastic. And also that India reference that you were talking about earlier, Jess.
But
Definitely.
it's subtle.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel contrived or like appropriation. Like it feels very like, yeah, it's a wrap and it's in the most amazing place. It's just a really nice way to have a suit. Like very beautiful.
This to me is classic. You would go to Burberry for a really well cut suit, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Very nice. Let's have a look. Can we look at the green one again? My favourite.
Yo, honestly.
This is your favourite,
Yeah.
Shaka?
The suit is
beautiful.
crazy. It's so beautiful. I feel like green's like my favourite colour right now as well. It's
What do
just
you
so
like
nice.
about it?
I think it's the colour. It's just so bold in the nicest way possible. I think that's like what's like a forest kind of green. It's just super nice. Like I can't even. It's just satisfying to look at. I look at that suit and I'll just be like, wow, I'm just enchanted. Do you know what I mean? And I think I just love I love the cut of the trousers as well. I love the way they just drop on the shoes, and I can't describe. You know when something's just like, it's just, I don't know what it is. It just hits home differently. Do you know?
When it's that beautiful. Yeah, it's also like the shade of green that you can wear with like a really bright like coral shirt underneath, or cream, or yellow, or what.
I feel bad, it doesn't do anything for me.
That's okay.
It's a good job we don't all like the same things, right?
Yeah. It won't sell out here. But have you ever felt this way about an item at Riccardo Burberry before?
Not particularly. I'll be so honest, not really, no. This is like my first time I've kind of like looked at something I've been kind of like, wow. I don't know, it just makes me feel some kind of way. Other than the first trench coat we saw and the really like sparkly dress right at the end, the silver one. I know, I feel like this whole collection has made me like kind of look at Riccardo at Burberry a bit differently and be like, oh, okay, like this is actually like something that I thought I can resonate with a bit more, because the direction it was going before, like, it wasn't bad, it just wasn't for me. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, man, like, it's cool, but it's not offensive, it's just not what I'm into. But looking at this, I'm like, yeah, like, this stuff is just amazing, you know? Like, even that long white trench coat there, the inside, like, that's just beautiful, you know what I mean?
I think the cape sleeves on a lot of the jackets are really strong. And they'll be...
And that suit underneath as well, the brown.
Beautiful. And with the like split, I think it's
yeah, it's like a split right
on the
bottom.
hem.
Yeah.
That's really nice. That's really nice.
Do we think this is the most approachable Riccardo Burberry we've had yet?
Approachable and democratized, or approachable and...
Both.
I don't think it's democratized because it's going to be fucking expensive.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But it's digestible. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely like digestible, and it's like easy on, well, in part, easy on the eyes. But then I love that you have the moment at the end of those dresses, and it's like Vegas or nothing. Like, I'm really here for that. Yeah, it's soft.
Yeah. I think the check makes it like relatable, and like you said, it's soft. It feels like a familiar sort of Burberry, and I think the sort of the check and the familiarity, because it's been adopted by so many different cultures and people that can't just afford these clothes. People that can't afford this level of Burberry will wear the Burberry check in other ways and find other ways to wear it. So I think it's digestible for not just the luxury consumer, but for people that sort of aspire to be able to learn Burberry.
DIY the kind of shirt dresses or something.
Exactly, and the way that the jackets are like chucked underneath a bomber jacket but then over the top of a dress, like it's real life and it's real clothes and how people really wear them, which I think is much more, it's not just look by look, it's actually considering, okay, well maybe I can't buy that jacket and I can't afford that skirt, but I've got one that's similar and I could find another one somewhere else and I can wear it look like that.
The black skirt just before the leopard print one, I think that was my favourite. Because the way that it sits on the waist, yeah, it's kind of, it's not so easy to see in that shot, but it, like, I don't know, for me that's kind of like fresh and new, but you said that's traditionally Riccardo.
It feels quite Riccardo to me, but it's still fresh and new too. Yeah, especially in the realm of Burberry. So what do we kind of hope for going forward? What do we want next from Riccardo? More check rendered in 100 more different ways? Do we want different supers walking? Do we want different presentation style? What are we hungry for next season?
I want him to explore what it means to be British, but what it means to be British in 2020, because it's not just Englishness, it's so much more than that, especially in London. I think if he could do that in a really authentic way without appropriating culture, but he could sort of really look at London, sort of take what he's done here, but make it a bit more diverse. I think that would be a really wonderful way to sort of push the Britishness of Burberry.
What do you guys reckon?
You know, with me and like artists or fashion designers, I never really have expectations. I just kind of like seeing just the final result, and then I have my opinions then. So I just hope he just keeps doing him, and like, you know, with this collection here, you know, I'm definitely like more impressed than some of the previous stuff.
Definitely.
So I just hope he just, whatever headspace he's in, like if he's just doing him, I just want him to explore more of that, and I'm here to see what he does next, you know?
I I think I'd like to see like some of the language in this collection continue. Like, I think there's only one corset, like a whole kind of camel-colored look. But it would be nice to see like some of these pieces kind of develop. And I know that people kind of excited about, this corset, or it's very beautiful. But I think when you have these kind of minute moments, how can we carry this forward and make it still something really exciting? I wonder if he's going to keep a muted, like, tonal palette, or if he's going to keep going with like this boldness that you're kind of just seeing like littered through. And I would actually be really excited to see more renditions of like the last glittery dresses, but maybe not the same shapes or silhouettes, but just have a bit more fun. Like, you can see that coming out of the collection or finishing the collection, there's like, okay, I'm just gonna have fun now. And that's exciting because it kind of, to me, it signals what's coming next.
Yeah, it's a same. I mean, I think there's an intelligence there in a way that he's kind of reading what's going on in the environment, so more of the same. But for me, I would love to see more of that come through in different ways to either show the collection or sell the collection.
Interesting feedback, guys. Thank you so much. I think that was a good review of Burberry. Positive all round. Thank you guys very much for joining us and for taking part. Thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to visit SHOWstudio for all of our extensive Fashion Week coverage. And if you're watching through YouTube, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.